Well, after 2 years, I think we can finally call the naysayers and declare that Top Thrill 2 is a success. Really, this is an amazing roller coaster at Cedar Point, quite possibly one of their best investments to date. Outside of Siren's Curse, that is, but more on that later. Top Thrill 2 has finally found its footing, and its operations are by far, judging by my 3-day stint to the point, were the best in the park. During the first evening of my stay, I counted over 40 train cycles, and every single one landed at 82 seconds. I couldn't believe my data with how good these numbers were. As soon as the previous train cleared the peak of the top hat, the next train was pulling out of the station, music blaring, hyping up the next batch of riders for their 120-mile-per-hour thrill ride. The next day proved just the same. Outside of a couple moments through the day, you could count on Top Thrill 2 racing into the clouds every 80-ish seconds, which made capturing footage a breeze. I remember during my visit back in June, this coaster was hustling to send a train like every 3 minutes or sooner. Now it's like clockwork. This trend continued on into my 3rd day as well. I went directly to Top Thrill 2 during early entry, and this coaster was on point every 82 seconds. It was blasting off. I remember back in the days of Top Thrill Dragster, the anxiety I would have waiting in line, hoping that the roller coaster wouldn't go down prior to getting on, because, well, it went down all the time. I couldn't tell you how many times I was standing in line for Top Thrill Dragster, only to be turned away at the station because the coaster was down and had no idea when it would be up, back, and running. Of course, I would hang out around the station for about an hour, hoping it would open at any moment, but my enthusiasm would quickly fade as I watched other coasters in the background, sending multiple happy guests while us at Top Thrill Dragster just sat around. Top Thrill 2, I have no concerns hopping in line with doubts I will even get to ride. This roller coaster is a beast, and I'm really excited for Cedar Point that they finally found the right fit for their massive centerpiece attraction. Top Thrill 2 wasn't the only roller coaster at the point that was showing off its incredible reliability and operations. But before we talk about the next coaster, do me a favor and click on that like button. Newcomers to my channel that love roller coasters, be sure to follow. Standing only a few hundred feet away, there was another roller coaster that, if you were listening to mainstream media, would think it's a maintenance nightmare and could implode at any given moment. Yes, I'm talking about the newest Vekoma tilt coaster, Siren's Curse. Seriously though, theme park propaganda at its worst when it comes to news outlets. They talk as if this coaster was breaking down left and right. Well, once again, over a 3-day visit to Cedar Point, I only watched this coaster cycle every 100 seconds. For a relatively new coaster concept, and for all intents and purposes, this is basically a brand new concept for here in the United States. I'm mesmerized with how well this coaster continues to operate. Considering that this coaster only has 2 trains, has a pretty decent ride time when including the lift and tilt, cycling a train every 100 seconds is not too shabby at all. It wasn't quite as consistent as Top Thrill 2, but more or less, whenever a train was approaching the brake run, the second train would be pulling out of the station. And to clarify, when I say not as consistent, we're talking a few seconds, which is basically nothing. Siren's Curse is yet another beast of a coaster, pushing out the best throughput a coaster of this capacity is capable of. Sure, it's not a capacity monster that Cedar Point really needs, but let me tell you, Vekoma has engineered one fantastic coaster that they really did their darndest to keep up with the best. Similar to Top Thrill 2, Siren's Curse is by far a huge success for Cedar Point. Now that the world has seen how amazing a tilt coaster can operate, I wouldn't be surprised if other parks are frantically reaching for their phones hoping to order a tilt coaster for their properties. If you ask me, this is the future of coasters. Vekoma over the past couple years has shown me that they can make reliable coasters that compete with the best of B&M, only Vekoma is making their coasters butter smooth. The praise doesn't stop here. Both Maverick and Steel Vengeance were showing their newfound reliability. I didn't time the dispatches on Maverick, but at its worst, it seemed to be the same output as I've timed in the past every 55 seconds or so. A train would complete a cycle. Steel Vengeance was humming beautifully with all 3 trains, a feat that this coaster was really struggling with over the past few years of its life. Now, about every 85 seconds, a train would be completing a cycle. Now, to be fair, everything wasn't sunshine and roses during my visit. Millennium Force was closed for all 3 days, Power Tower will probably be closed for the rest of the year, Skyhawk was closed, and Gemini was only running with one side. With that said though, I was thoroughly impressed by their remaining star attractions and how well the operations were. My visit was mid-August, a time when I would expect operations to start to lag. Instead, we're showing peak performance. That really makes me excited for the future of Cedar Point. Well, I think that's enough gloating for one day. Bottom line, Cedar Point is really doing something right, and with two amazing coasters like Top Thrill 2 and Siren's Curse running at peak performance, anyone visiting the point should be excited as well. Until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.